Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're not just reading a story, we're really peeling back the layers of a literary phenomenon. Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. This short novel, written, over a century ago, it still haunts, it still provokes.
It really does.
And it seems to speak directly to some of our, deepest anxieties about identity, purpose.
And what happens when you suddenly become inconvenient?
Exactly. So our mission today is to really excavate the insights in its frankly unsettling pages. Look at its power, why it feels maybe more relevant than ever, even now in 2025. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the enduring brilliance. It starts with this audacious premise, right? A man turns into a bug.
Right.
But it becomes so much more than just like a bizarre fantasy.
It's just about the bug.
No. Kafka uses this transformation, this fantastical event, to unearth these really universal truths about being human, forcing us really to confront things about ourselves, about society that maybe we'd rather just ignore.
And it kicks off with, it has to be one of the most famous opening lines ever written, and maybe one of the most shocking.
Definitely up there.
Imagine it. You wake up, restless night, maybe stretch, and then you realize you are a gigantic insect.
Just like that.
That's Gregor Samsa's reality. And we know he's already kind of ground down, right? Traveling salesman, family debt, even before this happens.
Yeah, he's already trapped in a way.
And Kafka doesn't ease us in at all, does he? Just, bam, throws us right into it.
Nope.
As Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect.
It's so stark.
It's disorienting, it's horrifying, but the delivery is so chilling, almost bureaucratic, detached. And what gets me is Gregor's first thought. It's not, oh my God, I'm a monster. It's,
I'm going to be late for work.
Yes. What does that tell us about his life before he became a bug?
Oh, it tells us basically everything, that reaction. It shows how trapped he already was. He wasn't, free, even when he was human. His life was already a kind of metaphoric insect life, wasn't it?
Crawling, toiling, yeah.
Exactly. Burdened by demands, by family expectations. So the physical change, it's not really the start of his alienation.
It's more like a manifestation.
Precisely. A grotesque manifestation, making the internal feeling suddenly external.
Yes.
Impossible to ignore. And it immediately flags that question of self-worth being tied only to, usefulness, long before he's literally a bug.
That's a really powerful way to see it. And that idea, the absurd dehumanizing system, whether it's out there or inside us, that brings us to Kafkaesque, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We throw that term around a lot, for anything weird or nightmarish.
That gets used pretty loosely.
But the metamorphosis shows us something deeper about it. It's not just Gregor turning into an insect that's Kafkaesque. It's a reaction.
Yes, that's
You think panic, right? Screams, calling a doctor. But his family, they're mostly just inconvenienced.
Annoyed even.
Annoyed, ashamed, and almost like weirdly efficient about it. They just start locking him away, managing the problem.
Like he's a piece of faulty furniture.
Exactly. Hiding him.
And what's really unsettling about the Kafkaesque element here is that quietness, that sort of rational acceptance of something completely irrational. Kafka's genius is taking the surreal and making it feel disturbingly normal, almost mundane. Not through big horror moments, but that detached voice, the lack of explanation.
We never find out why he turned into a bug.
Never. And Gregor himself barely seems to question it beyond worrying about his job. That quiet, steady absurdity that is much Kafkaesque as any tangled bureaucracy. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about how quickly society or a group can just isolate something it doesn't get or can't control.
Othering it.
Yeah. Gregor stops being just Gregor. He becomes a symbol, really, a symbol for anyone who's ever felt, unwanted, misunderstood.
A burden.
A burden, absolutely. It's about how easily we get marginalized when we don't fit the mold anymore, or when our usefulness, our productivity just disappears.
And that shift, that chilling shift in how they see him, that leads us right to the emotional core of the story, doesn't it? The breakdown of the family.
The unraveling. It's brutal.
Because before this, Gregor Samsa is their world. He's the breadwinner, working this job he hates.
Despises.
To support his parents, his sister Greet, he's literally given his life over to them. And then he turns into a bug. And the roles don't just flip, they curdle.
Curdle is a good word for it. It's astonishing how fast that love, or maybe it was just reliance.
Yeah, maybe it was reliance all along.
How fast it just sours. At first, Greet, his sister, she shows a little bit of sympathy, right? Brings them food scraps.
Cleans the room. Sort of.
But that fades. Quickly, it turns into resentment, disgust.
She stops even calling him Gregor. She calls him it.
It. And the father, initially just shocked, but then openly hostile, throws that apple.
Oh, the apple scene. That's hard to read. Lodged in his back, this wound that just festers.
A physical symbol of that familial rejection. And the mother, she's maybe more conflicted, but ultimately just too weak, too overwhelmed.
Yeah, she can't really stand up for him. It's just devastating how quickly affection or duty turns into this cold rejection once he's a burden.
And then Greed delivers that final verdict.
He must go, just like that. You must try to get rid of the idea that this is Gregor. Chilling.
It really is. And this raises an important question, For all of us, not just the Samsas, when you can't provide anymore, when you become inconvenient, when you don't fit the expected mold, are you still worthy of care?
It's a hard question.
Kafka just rips the facade off, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He exposes the lie under so many relationships that love is often, conditional.
A contract based on utility.
Exactly. A fragile contract. Gregor's use evaporates, and boom, so does the affection. The story forces us to confront that really uncomfortable truth about how we as societies, as families even, define worth.
Is it just about what you contribute? How you look?
Or is there some intrinsic human dignity that should always be there, no matter what? It's like a harsh mirror, reflecting how we tend to value productivity, convenience, often above basic empathy.
Above basic human value.
Yeah.
And then we get to Gregor's end, which is, well, it's not dramatic. Not heroic.
No fireworks?
No, it's quiet, lonely. He just wastes away. Starvation, sadness. Really believing his death is the last thing he can do for them, to free them.
That final act of self-effacement.
And here's where it gets really unsettling.
Yeah.
Because it works.
Disturbingly, yeah. They are free.
The story doesn't end with grief. Not even a quiet moment remembering him.
Nope. The charwoman finds the body, sweeps it away like trash.
Just disposes of it in the family. Relief. Pure relief. They go out.
Into the sunlight. For a picnic, basically. Making plans.
Looking forward to a better future. A future completely without Gregor.
That lack of justice in the ending.
Yeah.
But the stark truth of it, that's what makes it stick with you.
It's unforgettable.
Kafka doesn't soften it. He just shows us how easily people, individuals, can be discarded when they stop serving a purpose. Or when that purpose stops serving others.
The efficiency of it.
The efficiency is chilling. How quickly he's removed, forgotten. He's reduced entirely to his function, then just tossed aside when the function's gone.
And that image, the family out in the sun, planning their bright future, contracted with Gregor's lonely death. It just highlights how complete his erasure is. Man. It's a painful commentary. How quickly we can just reduce people to one thing, one role, and then just disregard them when it's over.
It is truly unsettling. And what makes this story, The Metamorphosis, still so powerful.
Yeah.
It was written, 1912?
Around then.
But it feels so resonant now, in 2025, in our hyper-productive world, often alienating world.
Absolutely.
We still deal with burnout, right? That feeling of isolation, the fear of being a burden.
That fear is pervasive.
Think about, the gig economy. Your worth is your last rating, your next delivery. Or worrying about healthcare costs. Becoming a drain if you get sick.
Exactly. We're still asking that same haunting question deep down. If I stopped being useful, if I couldn't contribute in the expected way,
would they still love me? Would society still value me?
Yeah.
Exactly. Gregor's story, it's like this timeless, powerful reminder about empathy, how crucial it is, especially towards those we don't understand anymore, or those who've changed in ways that make us uncomfortable.
It's not just history.
No, it's a living parable for right now. Understanding it gives us insights into our own anxieties, doesn't it? About self-worth, belonging.
And the bigger societal stuff, too, productivity versus care.
Right. Because the real horror, maybe, isn't just becoming the bug. It's realizing how easily other people, even your family, can make you monstrous, just by how they look at you.
Through their gaze alone?
Wow. Kafka shows us alienation isn't just a feeling. It's a social construct. We build it.
Which forces us to ask.
Yeah, it forces us to ask, how do we build more empathy?
Yeah.
In our own lives, in our communities, how do we make sure worth isn't just about what someone does,
but about who they are, intrinsically.
Exactly, who they are.
So what does this all mean, this deep dive? We've gone through that shocking wake-up call, the real meaning of Kafkaesque, that quiet, bureaucratic horror, the brutal truth about conditional love, And that quiet, disturbing freedom that comes when a life is just reduced to a role and then discarded.
Yeah.
If you've ever felt a bit like Gregor stuck, maybe unseen, maybe feeling like you're fading into the background, try to remember this. Your worth isn't just what you do.
It's not your output?
It's not what you produce. It's who you are, fundamentally, as a human being.
And maybe a final thought, something to mull over after listening.
Okay.
How do we, individually and collectively make sure our definition of worth really goes beyond just utility, beyond productivity, especially now, in a world that seems to demand constant output?
Constant contribution.
Yeah. It's a question that Metamorphosis doesn't exactly answer for us.
No easy answers there.
No.
Right.
But it definitely forces us to confront it and maybe, just maybe, to start figuring out some answers together.